This is the Marketing Agency Power Hour, and I'm your host, Cal Wilder. Each week, we'll power through discussions on business challenges, success stories, and game-changing strategies. This show is sponsored by SmartBooks, provider of bookkeeping and accounting for marketing agencies. Let's get started. So I'm really eager to learn from today's guest. She's a marketing leader, a thought leader, a relationship builder, a social media maven, a digital brand stylist, and a natural entrepreneur. She's a transformational strategist who uses Agile methodologies to drive innovation in biotechs, B2Bs, nonprofits, and emerging brands. She's been featured on the cover of the Boston Business Journal and is part of the agency Vista. She's the founder and president of the MetroWest Women's Network, and she is the founder and CEO of Ladybugz Interactive Agency. Lysa Miller, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me today, Cal. I'm excited to be here.
So what is the single most powerful strategy for success in your agency now?
Well, yesterday I would have said something different than today. And after thinking about a lot of our questions, is that I think in my agency, the reason we've been so successful is that we've had nobody stop our ideas. Like we've just been creatively free and able to try new things and innovate and evolve without anyone saying yes, no, and not being afraid of failure. And I really do think that is probably the number one reason why we continue to be successful, and embracing that, because a lot of people don't embrace change a lot. And, we have certain products and services, yes, that we offer, and those can change from time to time. But in general, just always being in the change mode is super important if you want to continue to be successful in this business.
So why do you think your agency has been so successful embracing change and innovation, and what you think would get in the way of other agencies doing the same thing?
Well, I think as a founder, I embrace that, and as the CEO of the company, and I'm not sure if all CEOs and founders like have that same line of thinking. A lot of people want to have everything processed, everything has to be a certain way, and eventually, when your business is set up like that, things stop working. So I think that a lot of people have the fear of change, and so I think just that me as a leader letting everybody else also embrace that and letting them have their free ideas, letting them come up with different ideas for the company, because the team is highly involved in how we deliver our products and services and how we, create them and how we sell them to clients. So I think that that is one of the main reasons why we've been successful, is because that is how I lead and that's how I think. And I've brought that to my team.
So what are the consequences then in terms of your hiring and evaluation practices and performance management practices?
I mean, in terms of the team that we have.
Yeah, how do you get, a company full of people who also embrace innovation and change without it just becoming chaos, right?
Yeah, I mean, that is very true. And those people are all highly creative people. And how we've embraced that is by not having those people be our full-time employees. Like they're not the ones, organizing things. They're not the one creating processes. They're the ones coming up with the ideas. They're the ones coming up with like how we should change the products and services that we're offering to the clients that they're serving. So them being like naturally creative, I think that comes with the territory. And the fact that they're freelancers too, they're just more open to like how we can do better. How can we be more efficient? Where did I go wrong with this client? How can I fix it? And so from that side, it can be a lot going on, but on the other side, we do have our full-time staff here. We do have our full-time people. We have our project managers and operations people that, help us turn those ideas into, real ways and real things that we use to run the business. And so having that sort of two kinds of people in the business in two different ways has also been, really great in allowing us to grow and change and restructure projects and what we offer and how we offer those things.
So are there particular tools or processes you've used to try to find the people for roles where they need to be more operationally focused and maybe a little bit more compliant by nature? to help keep the trains running on time in your business?
Absolutely. Like I have some pretty amazing people helping me run the company and mostly, running the projects and operations, making sure that those things are delivered like flawlessly. And so, in my introduction, you mentioned that I'm a relationship builder. So I've spent, the last 20, 25 years building relationships with, freelancers, other agencies, in the Boston area. So these are people that I have known throughout my career and somehow ended up circling back with Ladybugz. I may have worked with them at other agencies. They may have their own agency. And somehow along the way, they came into Ladybugz to be a collaborator. My first employee was Billy Kenyon, and she's been helping me lead the company. And just recently, we split our roles. So, as the company grows, our roles even change and evolve. So she's even more highly focused on operations now than she was before. And another person came to me from another agency that had just gotten laid off a large agency. So she brings that larger agency vision here. And so we either find you or you're going to find us.
Cool.
But that's truly how we found people. They were people we knew, people, not very many people here are just like off the street, did an interview and we hired them. They are people that we have gotten to know and gotten to trust over the years. And somehow they eventually became a ladybug.
So I gotta ask, what's the genesis of the Ladybug's name?
It is kind of funny, but, yeah, no, just a friend of mine and I, when we first started out, we were at another agency and, when we left that agency got bought and it had an ISP attached to it. So the telecom part got bought, the CLET side, and the agency clients sort of got split up among the employees because they didn't want to just have the agency running on that. So we started our own business together and we named it Ladybugz because we were two ladies, I know. It's a great domain, like, I would never have been able to get that domain later, so it just kinda stuck with me over the years as a freelancer, and then as I sort of grew the agency, like, in the early, 2000 teens, like, 2012, 2013, I started growing, and, then I merged with another agency. I kept the name, in terms of, like, owning it, but we didn't use it for 5 years there, and then I just rebirthed it. And when I did start the agency again in 2020, I did consider not using the name. But for some reason, it just kept appearing like, that I had to keep using it. So even now, like, clients will be like, oh, we heard the Ladybugz are really good. And like, it's never a name I ever thought would have gotten us to the phase or the stages that we're at now, but it has. And people remember us. I think it's more about they remember the name. And I think that's a very unique thing about the name. If you think back to like the .com days, some of the crazy agency names that were out there, but they really stuck with people. Um, so yeah, but the Ladybug story.
Well, it's memorable. That's the important thing, I guess. Did I hear you say that agency you were with at the time had a telecom company part of it and a marketing agency? That seemed a little unusual. Was that common?
Yeah.
What was the thinking, strategic rationale behind that?
I think they just started providing internet services and then got interested in the web services side and the hosting side. So there was like that side of it.
So if you're in there doing websites, you can start to do more and more marketing, I guess, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and back then, it was mostly SEO. It wasn't marketing like social media and all that like it is today. But yeah, we were definitely pretty heavily SEO focused and we built a lot of websites. So that was definitely part of it. And we were building things that were, back then, like it was a bad idea. They didn't end up taking off. But like 10 years later, those things are all like we did Hannaford Home Runs, which was like the original Peapod. So that was like, 1995, 96, and people couldn't even imagine like, grocery shopping online back then. But, those ideas were just a little bit before their time. We had some great people there that were really innovative and really smart. So, obviously if they got bought, but I got to learn a lot there though. I got to learn, how to set up dial up and sell like ISDN lines and all that kind of stuff that doesn't even exist today. So,
So, who's your target market? What kinds of clients do you like to work with now?
Yeah, so Ladybug's clients are typically early growth, early stage biotechs and growing, still smaller, but growing nonprofits, B2Bs. And so, a lot of our clients are coming to us where they really need us to come in and think for them and help them rebrand, remessage, reposition, and then, re-bring them to market digitally. And then help us market them or promote them or help train them to do their own stuff. So those are typically our clients. And then we also work with a lot of legacy brands here in Boston. So, companies that were started by either families or privately owned that again are sort of historically been around a long time and they really want to rethink how they are positioning themselves online and modernizing. So that's kind of exciting too because we do love Boston and it does feel good to work with those companies. So the other thing most of our companies have in common is that like we feel good about the work we do. Like we're not working for companies that are just like sell, 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 or anything that's not somewhat like humanly focused
Yeah.
on human beings. And so that part is really nice too. We love the biotech part. We love the nonprofit side of things. And so yeah, so those are the companies we target right now.
And what's the range of services that you provide?
So we provide everything from positioning and like brand messaging, like right from when companies could start or when they want to like format, what they're saying to branding, pitch decks, website, and then all the way to digital marketing. So we do provide, full services for people. The only thing we're not providing right now in house is paid advertising. And so, usually if we're doing that, we're partnering with a company that's their expertise. We're creatives and we love that space. So, um, that's where we do the best.
Correct. So speaking of doing the best, you've had some success. You've been through a couple iterations now, starting and growing your agencies. Um, how do you currently define success? What are you trying to accomplish with your current business?
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about that a lot, especially in the last year as I start to, start to think about retirement and stuff like that. But for me, when I started Ladybugz, I just wanted to do what I love doing. And I wanted to be able to care for my family and enjoy my life a little bit and not be an agency owner that is like working 24/7, stressed out, pulling my hair out. And nor did I want to put that on the people that work for me. So for me, if everybody here is happy and we're doing a great job with clients and I'm happy, like to me, that's success. And, it's not even the growing part. I feel like the growing part just sort of happens naturally. So, my goal with the agency is just right now to make the money too that I want to make to be able to save enough money to retire and maybe eventually sell it or sell it to the team or, I don't really have a long-term plan. But again, as long as we're here and we're all doing a great job and enjoying what we're doing and delivering amazing products and services for clients, that's pretty much my goal.
And what's a challenge or two that you've recently had to overcome or that you're currently grappling with that you need to overcome to achieve more of that success?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the AI side of things has, I'm sure a lot of agencies rethinking how their businesses work. But I think, going into it, a lot of how we addressed that and how we prepared for AI actually helped us out a lot. So I was really nervous of that and how that was going to pan out, but it seems to be, working in our favor actually, and kind of embracing how you can use it. So I think AI has been a little bit of a challenge for us, but a challenge for everybody.
What did you think the challenge or the problem was going to be, and then how did it actually turn out to be not so bad?
I mean, I definitely thought there was going to be like search engine ramifications, like a lot. And there have been, obviously, because, if you think about how much of the first page of Google now, people are, how the AI is taking that over. And so before you even get to like an organic listing, you're almost on page two. So there's that side of things. But there's also the introduction of all the new AI tools that people are using for search. So people are almost like kind of leaving Google and going to AI searching. And so, when you build your business on brand and brand strategy and all of your clients and you're building them that way, you're going to see more success there. So we've seen like more success just because of that. Whereas like I didn't wasn't really thinking about like, okay, like yeah, search engine traffic's probably going to go down a bit for people because they're going to be looking at the AI part. And even if you're listed in the AI part, you still have to get people to go there and stuff like that. But I didn't really think about the market share that those AI bots would be having in terms of people searching. So people find us on Chat GPT. They find us on like there's a few other ones that people use. So that's been like really interesting and something I didn't really foresee.
Yeah,
As
I was just chatting with another agency owner, you know, who had some statistics around how, Google search is still like 50 or 100 times more prevalent than AI driven searches. And so he's like, yeah, we're not really losing. SEO is not really that much less important today, even though AI is getting all the hype. But in a year or two, it could be a big issue.
Yeah, I mean, as long as your brand is out there and you're consistently like building your reputation and, building your presence, I think that is really the key for, being found in any search engine, AI, directory, anything. You just want to make sure that your presence is all about your brand. And when you start to try to trick the search engines or trick the I mean, that's where you see people getting, penalized on Google. And so my biggest concern is for agencies out there that are just churning and churning out tons of content because they're just using AI content. Like they might edit it a little bit or something like that. But my worry for them is that if that's what your business is depending on and Google decides like we're going to penalize AI content more, which I have seen it penalize AI content that people have been producing, so if you're going to rely on that, that's probably not the best idea. So if you're going to use AI, you still have to use it with originality. You still have to use it with your own ideas and your own implementation of it. But, if people are using it in a lazy format, I definitely think that's not going to help them in the future.
Yeah, it seems like the number of different advertising channels is just expanding quite a bit. All right. I just remember, 10 years ago, it was all about Google search. And then maybe if you were a consumer brand, you did something with Instagram or maybe Facebook. But now you've got to worry about SEO and GEO and different search engines, not just
They're all
Google. All right. Seems like it's getting harder at the moment.
So far it hasn't, we haven't seen a huge negative effect from it. So that's good. If any, for some clients, and again, like I said, us personally, Ladybugz, we've seen a pretty huge uptick in that helping us people find us. So
I have to ask you a question or two about accounting and finance, since that's my day job here at
quickly,
SmartBooks. So what is your approach to managing the bookkeeping, accounting, and finances at Ladybugz?
we use Profit First.
Okay.
In terms of like how we manage the business. We're using it very lightly, but when we started the company, we did start it on Profit First, and that's how we priced everything. And so I think that really helped us in the beginning, start off being profitable and sort of like continuing down that road. Obviously, as you grow and operations grow, you can have like fluctuation there, but Profit First has definitely been very helpful to us and lean operations. So just trying to be lean on how we run the business, how we build clients, trying to be more efficient. My previous agency, we had sometimes like 90 days of waiting for people to pay us, and you just can't run an agency that way. And I realized that. So how we structure how our clients pay and all that different kind of stuff has definitely helped us because we always have the cash flow that we should have. So we're not waiting like 30, 60, 90 days to get a payment. So that's made a big difference for us.
And did you implement Profit First yourself, or did you have a consultant who got you onboarded?
Then we did have someone in our bank help us.
Oh, I'm sure the bank was happy that you probably opened more bank accounts, right?
Let's say I'm on the board now.
I don't know. Every bank in the world should be pushing Profit First, right?
Yeah, and I mean, even just from an organization perspective, it does help you, when you're looking at a lot of things at the same time in like one operations account, it does kind of help you look at different parts of the business that are separated out and be able to kind of project like what your profit is going to be, what your operations, bank account should look like, how much money you should have to, um to have saved that if things, start to go downhill, But again, I think in this business, you have to react fast. I don't think this is a business where you need to have a bunch of money in the bank to continue to run the business. Like in this day and age, if business goes down, you don't steal from Peter to pay Paul. You make the decisions you have to make. It's different if you're a bigger company and you have tons of employees, but we're again very lean and agile, so we're able to make those fluctuations like as needed. So we've been very lucky that way.
Uh, and we should probably at least explain a little bit what the profit first approach is for the audience who may not be as familiar with it. How would you explain that?
So I mean, the way that the way that the process is supposed to work is that you have just different bank accounts where you divide different monies up, and instead of like keeping money in the bank to just pay bills and have that mindset of like, oh, we have money, let's do this, is to always be taking the profit out first. So every time we get a project, we take that profit out right away. We don't keep that in. Part of the money might be operations, so we take that out and that stays in that account. So it just really helps you make sure that you are thinking about your profit first, because why would you be in business if you're not making a profit or you're not paying yourself like what you deserve or more than what you deserve? So in a small agency like mine, obviously, profit's not going to be, millions and millions of dollars or anything like that, but it's nice to be able to give bonuses and to take a bonus yourself and to have the company like look healthy if you do decide you'd like to sell it or sell it to your team or whatever you might like to do with it. So it's been great. And, I have a business background too. So for me, it was like very interesting concept to embrace. And actually my previous business partner introduced me to it. So that's kind of funny because we didn't use it at my previous agency, but here we use it. We love it.
Yeah, so to just use round numbers, say you sell a project that's $100 and you're aiming to have a 10% net profit margin. So the first thing you do, you take $10 and put it in your profit bank account, right? And then you'd say, I need, $15 to, have cover my G&A overhead, and I'm going to spend $15 on, marketing to bring in new business, including this client. And that means you've got $40. I might be doing the math wrong here, but $40 to actually deliver the project, right? And then, but maybe it's costing you $50 to deliver the project. And so you got to decide, can I get more efficient? Because I only have
Mhm.
$40, or do I need to charge $110 so I have that extra $10, right? And you kind of put it in the different bank accounts and move it around. Yeah. I'm interviewing James Kwan from Figment.
I know James Caan.
He's got his own take. He calls it the slice method he's developed.
Oh,
Kind of
really?
slice up the revenue into different buckets to cover different costs of profit. So we're going to learn more about that.
That's me. I met him 100 years ago on Craigslist when he was just starting out or he was freelancing. So that was a long time ago, probably like 20 years ago. So I haven't kept in touch with him, but I get his newsletter and stuff like that. They're great. They're a great agency. They do beautiful work.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think the key, whether you use profit first or slice, or you don't go to that extreme, having a few key metrics though, so what your, cost of delivering the project is, and it can't be any more than, 40 or 50 or 60% of the revenue from the project. And just kind of knowing a few metrics like that is really important, because then you have to figure out, can I get my people more productive? Do I need to price these deals a little bit higher? Can I cut some overhead? And it forces you to make some management decisions.
yeah, the way we do it is we create the price of the project first. So, we get all the pricing from our team, we put our pricing into it, and then we mark it up and we know what we're going to charge for it. So it's not like, we don't get to choose what we're going to charge. We sort of have a system of what we're going to charge so that every project ends up having, the profit or the amount of money that we need. So, a lot of times what that means is we can't be as flexible with price unless we want to make less money. So if we do want to be more flexible with price and we do want to take a cut on that, we can do that. Like just even like last year, I feel like the price people were willing to pay for projects really went down. So, in order to decrease our price, we had to decrease our prices, but our freelancers still wanted to make the same. So that was a decision we had to make as a company. Like, do we want to take on these projects where we're only making this much. And we decided to do it. And because, as long as everybody's busy and we're doing great projects, that's just going to go back to where it was. But at that time, clients weren't willing to pay what we were charging. So we had to be flexible with price. And again, being a smaller agency, you can make those decisions, especially when you have a very highly freelance team, because there's not a lot of there's fixed costs of them, but there's not a lot of Ladybugz costs really. Like we know what those are going to be. So we've been very lucky that we've been able to be flexible. And again, that's just part of how I said we're very iterative. Our decisions are not always made in stone. And I think we've been really lucky because you have to be able to do with it in this space because this is sort of a feast or famine business. Anybody in the agency space will tell you that. Some years you are killing it and it's amazing, and other years you're getting by. So luckily I've never been in the situation where we've lost or, we've been way under where we want to be. Typically we're staying the same or we're really growing.
Well,
That's just how it is, and I think being an agency owner for so long, it's just part of life. It's just it is what it is.
yeah. You've mentioned the word agile a few times. How much of the formal agile approach do you incorporate, or is it just kind of your natural style?
I mean, I think it's a light version of Agile. And I've heard some other agencies own it, call it Agile fall, because waterfall has been always the traditional way that people have managed projects in this business. So I think that a lot of agencies, because they have full-time people, they can't have the high level people throughout the whole project. So I think the way we're structured, it allowed us to sort of create a different way that we do projects where we do bring in the team. We have them throughout the whole project and we're working on an iterative one, version one of a project and iterating off that. So we don't, have a scrum master by any means. We still call that a project manager. But we are using Agile. We are making decisions weekly versus making all the decisions up front. And I think with founders and early growth companies, it's really important because they have to be in the project the whole time. If you really want to bring their vision to life, if you come in the beginning and you're like, okay, this is how we're doing it, this is how things are going to go, you take it from there, you build it, and you turn at the end, the founder's like, well, that wasn't really my vision. Or maybe they're like, that's great, but it's not exactly. And then what do you do? Then what do you do? That's when you have project scope creep. And so we believe that if you fully invest in the project and put that energy in the whole time, that there's that amount, even though it costs more money, it costs less money in the failure. And so that's worked for us. Is every project 100% perfect every time? No, not every time, but 90% of the time, I feel like we've really hit the target. And so that's pretty awesome.
That's cool. And then how frequently are you how big are these projects? Like, what's the standard range that we're talking about here, just for reference?
Like price
Yeah,
or
your
time?
price too.
Our prices pretty much range anywhere from high teens, 18, 19, all the way to over six figures. So
Okay.
we do a good range of projects. But I'd say the average projects probably are between 30 and 40K. And that is not just because it's a web project. Sometimes it is a full scope, like a small startup that needs branding, messaging. So when you start to put those pieces together, the price can be a little hefty, but we also have people that come to us and they have half that. And we have to kind of, we want to help those people. So we want to make sure that we're giving them the best professional services that we can. We'd hate to see them go somewhere, spend that money, and then have to redo it again. So we try to, give them an introductory level of services and then build with them as they grow. So we're pretty flexible with pricing. I mean, my team loves to get the six figure and above projects. I hate doing those. I love the small ones. I love being engaged for 2 or 3 months. And, I love the end of the project and the celebration, but we do both. So
Yeah, I've been trying to incorporate Agile into my business at SmartBooks. And
Mhm.
we've done a lot of it, but it's a constant struggle because accountants tend to default to, the waterfall, the end product,
Mhm.
product review rather than in
Mhm.
process quality assurance and in process feedback. And people think it's faster, like you said. Well, instead of having to stop and talk along the way and review things, communicate along the way, we'll just wait until the end. get a bullet list of things and then go do it all at once, and it's going to be faster. But all you've done is introduce more bottlenecks into the process by doing it that way. And it's really faster on average at the end of the day, although accountants think it is. And it's a constant struggle to try to get more and more of the work done over the course of the month on a week to week basis rather than waiting to try to do a bunch at the end of the month.
Yeah, no, that's so true. But it's fun. It's challenging and it's fun.
Um, so got a lot going on. And you're very dynamic, I can tell. So what excites you about the future?
So we just launched a new brand, so we're very excited about that. So we launched a brand called Catalyst, and that's to service more biotechs. We've grown our team, and so that company in general is more of like an accelerator package type company. So where we just come in with you from day one, and we do all the things you need us to do. We turn it around in a certain amount of time and get you to market. So there's going to be like there's different levels for different needs, and and then just being a partner with more biotechs as we scale. But the reason we did that is because so we could focus more on the different industries in biotech. Because with Ladybugz, like we focus on startups and early growth, but we've done a lot of different types of businesses where could be like pharmaceutical, it could be more like research, it could be a CRO. So we really kind of divided the business up to showcase the different work we can do in those different industries and sort of like hyper target our clients that
Sure.
way.
So how do you win new business? Where do your leads and new clients come from?
So we do work with some VC firms and investors. So some people do know us. We're in some women-oriented biotech groups, but we do, we're involved in some groups where we know lots of women founders and stuff like that. And we've just built our reputation on doing this. And I'll get referrals, and like I got 2 referrals this year from someone who was at like Mass Biotech conference or something. And they're like, yes, you got recommended from, I forget, it was like Mass Bio or like one of the biotech organizations. And I was like, I don't really know anyone there. So I don't know who it was. And it goes back to the name and people remembering us. And if somebody says, who did your website, Ladybugz, if you said Ladybugz and Myth Company, like, who are you going to remember? So I think then the brand recognition has gone like really far for us. And the founders we've worked with have been amazing, and they send us referrals. They tell their friends about us. Like we've just done like 4 or 5 projects in Atlanta, and it was like one friend told one friend told one friend. And we're like now the Atlanta biotech agency.
Headquartered in Boston.
Boston, Atlanta, Houston, LA. So we're doing those jobs all over the country. And we actually just won a really big client out in Long Beach, which is a national nonprofit. So, even that business is coming from other areas of the country, not just Boston. So it's pretty exciting and pretty cool.
Earlier, you mentioned promoting and supporting women in the industry has been very important to you. You want to
Mhm.
expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I went to my last agency, which I joined around 2015, 2016, I think the industry was very male dominated. And so, what we did at my agency was we did a lot of thought leadership. We spoke a lot about our operations first and how we were running our company. And so I think that was really great because I got to meet a lot of other women and support other women, but I think during COVID, so many women went out to start their own marketing agencies. And so, in terms of like women supporting women, like we're always referring other agencies work that might not be good work for us, but good work for them. And just, mentoring other agency owners and freelancers. And again, that could be by them freelancing here. One of our new designers, she left a bigger agency and went out on her own. And now she's here helping us while she's still building her own agency. So just being like supportive of that and not being afraid of like, if people are going to work here, oh, they can't have their own agency too. Like, again, it's all teamwork. We all want to help each other out. But, and I've been successful, but I've had friends that have been really successful more than me. And so I'm learning from them too. Like, so that's amazing. So I just think in general, like women should be, really supporting women in the space. And we do get a lot of clients that are women just because we are women owned. But yeah, so it's been awesome.
Yeah,
to see that kind of growth.
yeah, it's interesting. I would not have assumed that because I've only really been focused on marketing agencies for the last 10 years or so. And I always thought it was kind of like 50-50, and there were a lot of women owners of agencies, but my time frame is shorter and
Yeah.
on the industry than yours.
And it's not just marketing agencies. So, traditionally I'm a web dev agency. So, that's the space I came from. My previous agency, like we were mostly a web dev agency. So marketing is kind of like newer, I think, to the agency space where like 10 years ago, I think that marketing was not as big of a piece of the business as it is now. You traditionally had like advertising firms and stuff like that doing the marketing, but then you had like digital companies doing websites and development and stuff like that. So now they've kind of like merged into one company. And I think that's why, we're seeing like more women because they're probably leaving marketing jobs and going out on their own. And, big agencies are, we're not even on the same spectrum anymore. Like big agencies are doing big agency work and small agencies are doing small agency work. And it's great. There's lots of room for everybody. So, and I think women want that flexibility. They want to, they don't want to have to go to work, 8 to 5, or especially in the agency space where it is known you have to work your butt off. If you work for an agency, you're working your butt off. So I think that's another thing, over COVID, women just tended to want to go out on their own and take care of their families. And now we're kind of spoiled. And, that's just what we want.
So if somebody listening is curious about Metro West Women's Network, what is that about and why should they check it out?
Yeah, so it was basically a space that I created for women in central Massachusetts. Because all the big networking groups are in the cities and different stuff like that. So if you know Boston, the suburbs are very big. And so, if you want to go to a networking event in Boston, if you live anywhere outside of Boston, whether it's north, west, whatever, it's an hour. You're gonna go an hour. So and the other thing was like those groups, like they refer a lot of business to each other in the city. So I wanted to create a group where people could refer each other in this area. And, it's been really rewarding. Like a lot of people have grown their businesses on there. We've had great events over the years, and it's just been like a lot of fun and really rewarding. I've met some amazing people. And so, yeah, so it is, it's a Facebook group. It's around 5,000 women and we do monthly events. So it's not anything super intense. It's just sort of chill and a place to, be
Ah.
yourself and be with other women.
So you said
So,
5,000 female business professionals in Metro West? Wow, that's a big group.
mhm,
Big.
yeah.
That's great.
So yeah, and our events, we would sometimes get anywhere from like 50 to 100 to 125, really depending on the event and the size of the event. And, we tend to just do social events. Like that's it. Go talk to people, go meet people, go network, and like not feel like, when you go to a lot of chamber events and stuff like that, it's always such like a different group of people. You have people from the banks, you have like more of those corporate people. Whereas like this group is really more people trying to do their own thing really as women trying to break out, start their own business. They could be working for a corporation, but they want to have a side hustle and make friends. So there's, it's pretty great.
Of the 5,000, how many would show up to a typical in-person event?
Yeah, and like anywhere between 50 and 100.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And one year we had a conference right before COVID. So that was pretty awesome. Like we had about 150 women. We did kind of like a mini at the HubSpot conference inbound. It was kind of like a little mini inbound in Central Mass, and we had it at this huge co-working space, and we had speakers. It was really great. It was like a personalized inbound.
Cool. Yeah, if somebody wants to check it out, what's the website for that organization?
It's MetroWestWomen.com.
MetroWestWomen.com. Awesome. Let's go back in time a little bit. When you were little Lisa, thinking about what you wanted to do for a living, did you think you'd be running your own firm or series of firms as an entrepreneur?
So when I was in college, I think like I made that decision that I wanted to be a freelancer. And so even when I was in college, I was working for newspapers, freelancing and all that kind of stuff. And I always wanted to be a writer and storyteller. So I don't know if I always knew I would own a business because business wasn't really something I knew about as a young person, but I did always want to be a writer and storyteller. So I guess in a way that's what I became.
What was the catalyst or some key milestones in the march toward having your own successful firm?
I mean, I think, like, my first hire was, like, the realization, like, this could be a real business, you know? I don't have to design every website by myself anymore, like, I can find camaraderie here, and so, growing my first agency was just really rewarding, and having to not do all the work for once in my life was, like, amazing. So, I think when you realize, you can teach other people, you can lead other people, and you can build an agency without doing a lot of the work was pretty huge for me because I didn't feel like I was so alone anymore. And I guess with Ladybugz, that's what I wanted to create again is that so freelancers didn't feel like they were alone. They had collaboration, they had people to support them. So I guess I kind of came full circle on that one.
If you could give yourself some advice back then, what would you say to yourself?
About business, I mean, honestly, it's hard to like pinpoint something that I would have changed because I've learned so much from every single thing that I've done. So, my advice might just be to listen to myself more and not listen to the people around you, like chirping in your ear. Do it this way, do it that way, because your vision is, especially as an entrepreneur, your vision is going to be your success. And if people are, stopping you from having your grand ideas, whether you fail or not, like those are who you are. And that's really going to be your success. So just listening to yourself more and trusting yourself more and not being afraid to fail, by doing that. So you learn from your mistakes. So the more mistakes you make, the better.
Right. That's true. I mean, and the other thing is, like, if you're doing the same thing everybody else is, what's going to make you any better than everybody else, right? Something you do has
Exactly.
got to be a little bit different. It appeals to a certain segment of the market.
Yeah.
So, what do you like to do outside of work?
So I like to golf. That's pretty much mostly like what I like to do outside of work. So I probably golf 2 or 3 days a week. And I think, as I get older, like I never really thought I would be a golf person, but I enjoy the peace. And I just like the outdoors and traveling. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a number of golf courses out in this neck of the woods.
Oh, it's great.
I the people listening, I live a couple towns over from where Lisa's got her business. So, yeah, it's a nice suburban area with apple orchards and some golf courses and
Hmm.
everything.
Yeah.
So, I really appreciate the time you spent today. If folks want to get in touch with you directly because they, want to learn from your experience or collaborate with you or see if you could help one of their clients or something, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
So our website is ladybugz with a z.com. And then, on most social networks, I'm under Lisapreneur. So you can find me there. And LinkedIn, I'm probably the most active on LinkedIn. So happy to connect with people there.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you sharing your story, and it's not over yet. So I'm very excited to see the evolution of Ladybugz and the launch of this new Catalyst offering. Um, so thank you so much.
Yeah.
For those listening, if you've learned something today or found it interesting, please share this podcast. Let people know it exists. Let's get it in the hands of as many marketing firm owners as possible. Thanks again, Lisa.
Thank you so much.
So this has been another exciting episode of the Marketing Agency Power Hour. We'll see you all next time. Another episode in the books. Thank you so much for tuning in. For show notes and more, please visit marketingagencypowerhour.com. This show is sponsored by SmartBooks, providing marketing agencies with bookkeeping, accounting, and finance support. With SmartBooks, you gain the clarity and confidence to make your agency a success. Until next time.